At the fair, she mocked the warning, killed the black cat, and walked away laughing. By sunrise, homes had exploded, bodies had piled up, and every person unlucky enough to cross her path found themselves dead.
What's that? You want to be scared? Come with me. You will experience tales of horror, ghosts, and death. It is not recommended for the weak at heart. Listen in the dark. It's more fun that way. This is Weekly Spooky.
Hello, my spookies. It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's time for a little spooky in your weekly. I'm your host and narrator Enrique Couto, and tonight we have quite a tale. Pardon the pun. But before we get to that, I just want to say thank you all so much for joining us here at Weekly Spooky, because this time of the year is for the diehards, folks who need a little bit of Halloween all year long. And I'm proud to have you here with me. So if you have a chance, make sure to leave a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. It helps other spookies like ourselves know the show is the real deal. And if you love what we're doing here and want to support us in a very direct way, it's pretty easy. Just go to weeklyspooky.com/join for as little as $1 a month. You get 2 bonus shows every month and over 5 years of creepypasta readings, audiobooks, and so much more. That's at weeklyspooky.com/join. Now is the perfect time to sign up. And whether you've been a long-time listener or this is your first episode, remember that every Saturday, here on the Weekly Spooky feed, you can listen to a compilation of some of the most terrifying tales we've released over the 7 years or so we've been on the air. But now, as for tonight, a trip to the carnival is supposed to end with cheap prizes, bad food, and a few dumb regrets, but sometimes one cruel decision follows you home. Sometimes a warning is real, and sometimes bad luck is not just bad luck at all, but something angry, and something that'll keep collecting bodies long after the night is over. So get cozy, my spookies. The story begins in a moment. Black Cat by Rob Fields. Who would have thought a trip to a carnival would get me backed up against a wall with all these Ridgeway Heights cops pointing their guns at me? Of course, me being blood-splattered doesn't make things easier. "Get on the ground, now!" an officer yells. "We ain't telling you again. We will shoot." "Yes, shoot me," I yell at them. "Please." Then 2 officers approach me. I hold up my hands. "Get away! You'll die if you get too close." Too late. One of them suddenly sneezes, making him squeeze his trigger. I scream when it goes off, causing his partner's head to explode. And when the headless body falls back, its hand fires the gun it's holding and catches his former partner in the side of the neck. Then he falls over too. Forever. I point to the dead cops. "There! You saw that! Don't come near me! I don't want any more death!" They actually listen and keep their distance. "What the hell's wrong with you?" Their commanding officer demands. "You won't believe me," I groan. He raises his hand a little. "Just calm down and talk to us, okay?" I sigh. "Like I said, you won't believe me. But if it keeps you guys away from me, I'll tell you everything." I begin my story. Friday night. I was in the back seat of my boyfriend's flashy sports car. My relationship with Scott Bradford started at one of my cousin Brighton's parties in Strickfield. She's one of only a handful of Mirrans that didn't live in their gated community. We were very close, so she invited me to all of her parties. Anyway, Brighton introduced me to Scott at a party. After that, we went on a few dates, then started sleeping together. Usually you can tell if a guy's really into you after you fuck him a couple of times. Scott wasn't going anywhere. He knew I was a Mirren, so either he was looking for a sugar mama or he really had serious feelings for me. Scott and me were still making out, kissing and groping each other hot and heavy. I couldn't wait for us to get naked. Unfortunately, that wasn't going to happen. One of Strickfield's finest knocked on the window. Oh, the look on his face when he saw my shirt wide open. I didn't care. I was officially a Mirren woman, having just had my tatas done and my coming out party. The officer shook his head slowly. "Move along. Gunter Square's a respectable park." I didn't button up my shirt until after Scott got us out of there. "Jesus, Kat!" Scott exclaimed. Kat is short for Katriana, with a K. I laughed as I buttoned up my shirt. "You're the one that unbuttoned me, lover." When I finished, I sighed. "Now what? We can't go fuck at your house since your parents are home. And you said the rooms here are all booked up for the Feltner County Fair this weekend." Scott was on it. "Then we'll go to the fair." I loved his thinking and laughed again. Soon we were parked and getting tickets. We walked around and enjoyed the sights and sounds. Eventually we came to a fortune teller's tent and went in. This gypsy woman was sitting at her table with a crystal ball. "Please, sit," the woman said in what sounded like Russian or a Romanian accent, something along those lines. When we sat down, Scott paid for us both. The woman smiled and took the money. Then this black cat made a scary noise as it suddenly landed on the table. I sighed with relief. "Good kitty," I said, looking to pet it. But the cat tapped my hand fast and hissed. "What's your problem?" The gypsy spoke up. "He is merely trying to warn you. The stories you hear about black cats being unlucky, they are very true. Never let one cross your path, for terrible things may happen." I rolled my eyes. Whatever. The gypsy woman took my hand and looked at my palm. Then she gasped. "I see danger ahead. For you both, your life shall be filled with great loneliness. Your man here shall die because of you." She looked up at me now. "It shall be your recklessness and free spirit that doom you to this life." I yanked my hand back. "Oh, fuck you, lady." That was my first mistake. She got pissed and told us both to get out, even refunding Scott's money. I kept yelling at her until we left. My second mistake. We hung out at the fair until it was late. Then we headed back to the car. As I was getting in, I cried out when I lost my footing and nearly fell back. Thankfully, I managed to balance myself. I looked down and saw that black cat from earlier. I was pissed when it hissed at me again. I screamed out, "You little bastard!" and I kicked it as hard as I could. After it cried out, I chased it and kept kicking it until it was finally dead. That would be my third and fatal mistake. Suddenly, the gypsy woman was right there in front of me, from out of nowhere, and the way she glared at me. "It is clear you hold no regard for those that are weaker than you," she said angrily, and snatched my hand, uttering some strange words. Scott tried to stop her, but found he couldn't move. Soon, the gypsy woman finished talking and let go of my hand. "It is done. In time you shall be utterly alone. I have transferred the cat's essence to you. From this moment forward, you shall bring most unfortunate luck to those whose paths you cross." The woman looked at Scott. "End your relationship with this girl and depart from her immediately, or she shall seal your fate if you remain by her side." "Fuck off," Scott told her. Then he turned to me. "It's all bullshit, Cat. Let's go." But when we turned to leave, the gypsy woman was gone, like she'd vanished into thin air. We got into the car and headed back into Strickfield. When we came to Scott's house, it was dark. He suggested we could actually spend the night together if we were quiet. Once we pulled in, we snuck up to his room. After he closed the door, we started kissing, hot and heavy. He started unbuttoning my shirt when he stopped and started sniffing. "You smell that?" he asked. "Smells like gas." I sniffed a few times. "I don't smell anything. Now come on, let's get in bed." Scott opened the drawer in his nightstand. "Aw, shit." He turned to me. "I forgot the condoms in my car." I stopped him, crossing in front to get his keys. "I'll get them. You just get naked and in that bed." We kissed. "I'll be right back." I left Scott's room and went back downstairs. Outside, I opened his car door and grabbed the bag with the condoms inside. But then, the entire goddamn house just exploded. I screamed and fell on my chest fast. Then, the house exploded again. I managed to look and see pieces of the house flying everywhere. That was when I realized Scott, maybe his whole family, were still inside. I stood back up and tried to look inside. There was no way I could go back in to look for him. He had to be dead. Then I started crying when I remembered him saying he had smelled gas. I should have listened to him. Seriously, I didn't smell anything whatsoever. All I could think of was the gypsy woman's warning. She said I would cause him to die if he stayed with me. She had cursed me with that black cat's bad luck. I gasped when I remembered walking right in front of Scott to get his keys. Like a black cat, I crossed his path. I wanted to deny it, but the more I remembered the gypsy woman's words, the more I realized I may have killed Scott. I had to know for sure. I got the hell out of there when I heard the sirens. It wasn't long before I was in the part of Strickfield that Scott called Downtown Village. A police car just sped past me, no doubt going to what was left of Scott's house. Another one was coming as I crossed the street. I moved out of the way, crossing its path. I turned to look at the police car as it sped through a red light at the next intersection. Then this semi-truck just plowed the shit out of it. I gasped and held myself. "What the fuck?" I shrieked. "Watch your mouth, young lady," this woman snapped, coming out of Roth's rings. I stepped back, crossing her path. She turned and moved in the direction of that horrendous wreck, and all of it just exploded, like Scott's house. The next thing I knew, a metal rod came flying and went right through the woman's head. I heard the lady gurgling a little before she dropped over. Okay, that was it. I needed to talk to someone. Stat. I pulled out my phone and called Brighton. She said to come right over. She almost always was alone at her house. Her parents were always on business trips, but made sure Brighton had everything she needed. She loved having the place all to herself. I made sure not to cross anybody's path on the way to Brighton's. She was waiting in the open garage with her toothy smile. I saw she had friends in the house too, probably having a slumber party. "You okay, Kat?" Brighton asked. "You look terrible." I gulped. I really need to talk to you." She motioned for me to come on in. "Go ahead," I said. "I'll follow you." This way I couldn't cross her path. Brighton shrugged. "Okay." I followed her inside and saw 4 other girls in the living room. "You didn't tell us you were inviting another girl, Brighton," one of them said. "This is my cousin Katriana," she told them. "Why are you pressing yourself up against the wall?" another one of them asked me, rudely. "You might get hurt," I warned her. "I can't cross anybody's path if I stay at the walls." Another one looked at me. "You know how stupid you sound." Brighton patted my shoulder. "Let's go out back." When I came away from the wall, one of those bitches started coming towards me. I quickly backed up against the wall again. Then I turned and moved along the walls until I reached the front door. It's not scientific, but it seemed to work. I shot right outside and I crossed the path of another girl, possibly one who was coming to join the others for the party. When they came outside and saw their friend, shit was about to happen. The girl whose path I crossed slipped on the grass. She came down hard on her back. The back of her head became impaled on a screwdriver handle, sticking out of the lawn. The girl's blood was pooling underneath her hair. Now the others were looking right at me. "Holy shit! You really did kill Rochelle by crossing her path," one of them yelled. "Get the fuck out of here!" another one joined. When I ran off, Brighton called out, "Kat, come back! Talk to me!" I couldn't risk killing Brighton. Not her. Even though we were cousins, she felt more like a sister to me. The one I'd never had. I had to leave Strickfield and get back to Ridgeway Heights. It took me long enough to get a taxi, all without crossing anybody's path. The driver brought me home. I tipped him really well before getting out. I didn't cross anybody's path getting to the front door. I got inside and went straight to my room. I was trembling so much I fell on my bed and came apart. All of this because of a fucking black cat. Now I carried its curse of bringing bad luck to people crossing their paths. And just when things couldn't get any worse, my asshole father burst into my room. "I told you never to go to Strickfield," he yelled. "I also recall telling you that I don't want you seeing that Scott boy again. You are a Mirren woman now, and you will marry a man from a proper bloodline." I sat up. "God damn you. Leave me alone." Oh, did he ever get pissed. He came and grabbed my wrist. "As long as you live in this house, you will respect me." The rest of the family were looking on as Dad pulled me out into the hallway. Seeing Mom and my many brothers and sisters up there was no other way for them to go. They would all have to go to the stairway eventually, and that asshole was forcing me to cross their paths. "Let go of me, you bastard! You'll make me kill them all! Let go!" But he dragged me to where there was absolutely no chance of saving them. Dad dragged me downstairs and the rest of the family followed. When we were in the living room, Dad threw me into a recliner. Then he pointed at me. "You will learn your place now." But before Dad could do anything more, the family massacre began. My older brother Giles tripped on the bottom of the stairs and pushed my sister Tabitha hard in the back. She stumbled and fell headfirst into the fireplace, where Dad had roaring flames going. Her head was ablaze almost instantly. She screamed as she tried getting up. When she finally did, she grabbed hold of Mom and took her to the floor. Now both of them were burning to death. I pointed to Dad. "Their deaths are your fault. I told you to leave me alone. Now you just passed my curse to the family." Dad roared and tried to get me, but I got up and ran. He caught me and threw me on the floor. When he got on top of me, he got the end of a fireplace poker buried in his head as one of my sisters hit him to save me. But I didn't cross his path, right? It didn't matter. The flames from the bodies continued to burn and ignite everything. I tried to get the others out, but Dad sealed their fates. I won't explain every gory detail, but the rest of the family met gruesome deaths. I was bloodied and had parts of their insides on me when I left the house, alone. By the time I reached the driveway, the whole mansion miraculously burst into flames. That was when a few Ridgeway Heights patrol cars showed up. I was sure they thought I did it, since I ran like hell. The truth was, I didn't want those cops dead because of my curse. That was 2 days ago. After telling my story, I can tell the police don't believe it at all. They're still going to try and arrest me. I hold up my hands. Please, no. And now, I know just how to end the curse. I push away from the wall I was backed up against and run like hell. The cops yell for me to stop or they'll shoot. When I don't, they open fire. I'm being shot all to hell. I think I even feel a few bullets come out of my chest and stomach. One even exits my head. When I finally fall and land hard on my side, I know those cops are as good as dead. Since they chased me, I'm sure I crossed their paths in some way. I'm right, of course, when they all meet their horrible fates. Now their bodies are lying right with mine. "Rise," I hear a woman say. I sit up and see it's that fortune teller woman. That's when I realize I feel fine. I feel my chest and forehead. No bullet holes. The cops themselves aren't so lucky, though. I spring to my feet. Take this curse off of me." The gypsy woman chuckles. "Never. You mercilessly took from me when you killed my cat. Now you are alone and burdened with sadness, a fate foretold that has and shall continue to pass. While my cat remains gone, you shall never be free from my curse. Not even death shall end it. You are doomed to walk this world, continuing to pass your curse to whomever you should cross. If I were you, I would become accustomed to it. After all, forever is a very, very long time." And with that, the gypsy woman disappears. There's never going to be any peace between me and her. I pissed her off so badly, I'm not even allowed to die. Okay, if that's how she wants to do this, fine with me. That means from now on, I don't care anymore. If you meet me, I won't show you mercy. I'll walk across your path without thinking twice. Which means for you, it will be soon. So, what do you do after a black cat crosses your path, my spookies? Step around it? Knock on wood? Maybe tell yourself it's all just superstition? Or, hell, buy some kibble and get ready for a new companion? Unfortunately for Katriana, that wasn't really an option. Tonight's story reminds us that some warnings aren't decoration. Sometimes the curse is real and sometimes bad luck has claws. So keep your eyes on the shadows, be nice to strange old women at carnivals, and for the love of all things unholy, don't go picking fights with fate. And don't wander too far, because this Friday on Cutting Deep into Horror, we're talking about one of John Carpenter's most underknown gems, Someone's Watching Me. A tense, stylish little paranoia machine packed with stalking, suspense, and that unmistakable John Carpenter touch before he became a master of horror. And I want to say an extra special thank you to our Patreon podcast boosters, folks who pay just a little bit more at weeklyspooky.com/join to hear their names at the end of the show. And they are Johnny Nix, Scott Hoover, Jessica Fuller, Mike Ishkui, Jenny Green, Amber Hansford, Karen Weemet, Jack Kerr, and Craig Cohen. Thank you all so much, and if you want to hear your name at the end of every episode of Weekly Spooky, just head to weeklyspooky.com/join and sign up at the $15 a month or higher tier. It really makes a big difference and helps us keep going and going as we hurtle towards episode 400, coming up very soon. But now I need to get back to work. I'll see you all Friday on Cutting Deep into Horror. It's a great conversation. So for myself, for my executive producers Rob Fields and Bobbletopia.com, my producer Dan Wilder, and my creepy composer Ray Mattis, I'll talk at you next time.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to find your way back next week. But for now, you are safe. Trust me.